Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Chats with Chats. I am joined tonight with the beautiful Lashay Taylor, one of the OG original goddesses from Fruit Up with Bobby Smith. Welcome. How you feeling, Lashay?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me on your platform.
Thank you for joining me. I know you host your own podcast, Better.ism on YouTube. For those of the people out there in the public who are unfamiliar with you, can you put them on? So, who is Lashay Taylor?
Lashay Taylor, I don't know. I'm nobody. Have you ever heard of Arya Stark? I'm like I don't know if you're into Game of Thrones, but I'm Lashay. I like she said, I don't know if I consider myself an OG of anything, but I got into the health community because of health issues, and I just needed to figure out how to feel better in my body. So that's how I gravitated towards the fruit community, fruitarianism, raw veganism. It was a solution to a problem that I had. And no matter how hard it was, I kind of stuck to it until I started to see some serious change, I suppose, and how I feel physically, my mindset, my mental health, all of that. So that's, I mean, like how I got here. As far as who I am, that's a way deeper question. That's like a spirit thing. I feel like a lot of times we like to identify ourselves through either what we do for a living,
By our persona.
yeah, like what we do for a living, or the straw man that was created for us by our parents
Mm-hmm.
and where we were born. No, that's like, okay, no, that's just where you were born. That was the name that you were given. Those are the people who birthed you. That's just what you do for money. But who are you? That's a way more complicated question because I just feel like you are the person that, or you are the spirit that does everything that you do. Like, how do you do everything that you do? Like when you are interacting with human beings, are you doing it with kindness? Are you doing it with poise? Are you patient? Are you considerate? Are you empathetic? Um, or are you an a-hole? Or are you impatient? Are you short or this and that? I could be a little bit of both, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm still learning life. That's who I
Are you
am.
operating from a space of love or a space from fear, right? So it's like, how do you typically show up? Do you come from a space of love or a place of fear? You know what I mean?
It depends on the circumstances. Um, when I operate from a place of fear, it's more so when it comes to the things that I want to personally accomplish, things I have limiting beliefs on, things that I'm still trying to overcome and conquer as far as self mastery goes. But when it comes to how I handle others, I actually do operate in love. Like I don't mistreat people.
I love
And the thing about that too, though, is I'm very honest. So a lot of times, honesty and bluntness can be taken as disrespect, but that's never my intention. It's just like, listen, people who really care about you are going to tell you the truth. Like they're going to tell you like when something isn't right, like when you're misstepping in life. And I'm that person that's just like, do you really think that's okay though? Like I'm that person that will put you in place. That will
Yeah,
protect
you know what? It's because honesty is really an undervalued quality, right? People want to be lied to in a way. They want the truth, but they can't always handle the truth, right? And so when
the
you give
white
them the
lie,
truth,
right?
yes, and so they become easily offended unless they're willing and able to stand in their own truth, right? But you stepped into the fruit community or the health community, as you said. When? How long ago would you say did your health journey begin?
I got into a bit, okay, I would say officially like 2019. I started my health journey when I had first quit drinking alcohol.
Okay.
And because I was like a heavy drinker, and it wasn't, in my opinion at least, because of alcoholism. It was because of escapism. It was
Because of
because
what?
escapism. Like I was just going
Yes,
through
yes,
stuff
you
in
were.
life,
Yes.
and I was never physically dependent on alcohol. I mean, I could drink a week straight and then decide, I felt like shit for that week. I'm sorry. I felt like poop for that week. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm a sailor's mouth. Um, I didn't feel good for that week, and then I'll decide I'm good. And then I literally go months without drinking. And then, but if I go through something, I'll have a drink. And then I just realized it didn't serve me
Yeah.
emotionally. It wasn't doing what I thought it was doing. So I decided, you know what, like I'm done. And then, not to mention just the health issues, I knew it wasn't helping anything. So I had quit drinking. And then, like, after that,
What were some of your health issues that at the time?
health issues. So the most pressing health issue was reproductive health issues.
Okay.
So I had stage 4 endometriosis, which in and of itself, like, if you don't know anything about it, like you hear, okay, women get endometriosis, and it's a really common thing in American society because of the lifestyle that we live. Like our endocrine system is imbalanced. Endometriosis, endocrine system, like it's really imbalanced because of the lifestyles that we live, but not only because of food, but because of our emotions. Like,
Right.
in my opinion, like being in our like masculine, I'm sorry, being in our like divine feminine energy, it's almost hard for women to naturally be in that energy in this world because like we have to work hard. We almost have to like not only be masculine, I mean, not only feminine, but masculine. Like we have to take on both roles. We have to work hard. Our nervous system can't necessarily be at peace. We have to deal with um, being taken advantage of from men who want something from us. That, like, for me personally, I know that like when I was younger, I was like so naive. Like I didn't have a lot of experience when it comes to relationships. And I would think I was in a good relationship with a guy, and then I would just learn that he just wanted me for my female parts. And then once he got it, he took something away from me. That would create imbalance over time. And then not, like, so I just feel like a lot of emotional stuff.
When you say he took something away from you, what are you referring to?
Number one, I mean, like, trust. Like, it took away from the ability for me to trust myself. Like,
Right.
okay, like I really believed that this person was like for me,
Yeah.
but they were just manipulative and they just wanted what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then they got it. And then that made me feel a kind of way. Like it made me like not even lose trust in men. It just made me lose trust in myself. And it lowered my self-esteem. And it made me create worse decisions over time, which would be like drinking or smoking or like acting like a man, being outside, like doing all this stuff that would break my womb. And I think that like spiritually manifested a lot of womb issues, but also just the lifestyle choices at the same time with food and stuff.
I think physically those things manifest in the body, right?
Yes.
Because now you have this imbalance that you're referring to, right? Your emotions are out of whack. You lost self-trust. You lost the trust in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Now you have to navigate this world, and you have a severed tie between yourself and your higher self, right? And so now you have to navigate this world from a place of fear, right? And a place of survival, right? And so now you got to show up, like you said, in this imbalance of masculine energy, because now you've got to be the protector of yourself and your emotions because of the manipulation, just because we come in as women. And so now we have to, like you say, because the world and the society, the way it's structured, the woman can those gender roles no longer exist, right? So, and then you have, I don't want to call it toxic masculinity, but let's just call it an imbalance of masculine energy, right? And they want a submissive woman, but they don't necessarily know how to lead. And so then it's this imbalance continues and it starts to manifest because now you don't know how to navigate your feelings or your emotions because there's this distrust, right? And now, like you were saying, you start manifesting you have womb issues. right? So continue as you were going on.
Yeah. So that was like the initiation of my womb issues. And I noticed that my womb issues, like the worst of them, came during one of my worst relationships,
Mm.
where I actually was acting as the masculine energy. He was like, he wanted to be the woman. Like he wanted to be a bad bitch. Like he like would literally argue with me, like because he wasn't stepping up in a role that he would act like he would act like he was going to work. He would act like he would do these things, but he wasn't. And I'm finding myself paying 100% of the bills for an apartment that I literally paid for. I put all the money up for. I'm dealing with his family issues. His family's moving to my apartment essentially, and he's driving my car. He's like, there was just like all the ghetto stuff. Like, I was basically the ultimate driver and girl that had the boyfriend driving the car, dropping them off at work. Like, I was a stereotype, and it created so much stress inside of me. That is when I had an endometrioma. It
Mm.
literally it was a tumor. It grew to the size of a honeydew melon,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was protruding in my abdomen, and I looked pregnant, but I wasn't. It was a tumor. Um,
Did you get that surgically removed?
I had to have an emergency surgery
Mm.
because it got so bad that it was like literally twisting my ovaries, and I had a oophorectomy. So I had a partial hysterectomy also, almost, but I still have like my uterus, and I have the other half of my like fallopian tubes and my ovaries. I can still produce a baby,
Right.
but it would just be like twice as hard.
Got it.
Um,
When you say twice as hard, like to conceive or for
to
the
conceive, like I
conceive?
don't want kids, honestly,
Right.
but if I were like I can though, it would just be I don't have two ovaries, to with the eggs. I don't have, so it would just be like I said, twice as hard. Like my body would have to work two times harder, or I'd have to be like in Pound Town every single day on when I'm in
So
when
what
I'm
I'm hearing is so what I'm hearing is this this desire for love led you in the wrong places, causing a lot of stress, a lot of distrust, a lot so physical manifestation of this ease in the body, right? Which then brings you into this journey of I want to heal, I want to get better. What was the route that you decided to take to heal your body?
So what started off as a physical journey definitely became a spiritual one. Because when you start to be conscious of the kind of food that you put inside of yourself and the intention behind what you're doing at the same time, I was being intentional about cleansing. I was being intentional about putting into practice a lot of the stuff that I was learning about the human body. Because, like, prior to that, I was basing the possibilities of my state of health or my future state of health on conventional knowledge. Like them telling me there's nothing I can do about it. I have to have surgery. I have to have organs removed. I have to have this. Like, so that was like a belief system. And then I was learning this new way by just following people. Like I came into like Fully Raw Christina, Dr. Baby, these different type of people that was in this health space that helped change my perception on how the body heals itself naturally as long as you're not obstructing it with these things that pretty much slow down our pace of healing,
With
right? Like the
processed
body
food?
itself is going to heal all on its own as long as we're allowing it to be in a fasted, reparative state versus eating these obstructive things that's going to slow it down, like meat, like dairy, um, processed food, alcohol. Like, so once I learned about this, I started making conscious choices to start removing stuff like that from my diet so that I can heal. So that is the route that I took because I was learning about, like I said, Fully Raw Christina, Dr. Sabi, so like alkaline foods. And it was a natural progression. It wasn't overnight. It was really hard to break the habits of the standard American diet. It wasn't something that I just like cold turkey knew how to do it and learned about it and just did it. It was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of cycles. It was a
So
lot of
before you jumped into anything, you started off by researching, right? You
yeah.
started looking for alternative ways, alternative healing modalities, because you weren't subscribing to the story of conventional medicine. Like, this is all there is. It's just it's medication or surgery. Like, there's nothing you can do to heal the body.
Yes.
I'm curious though, was there something internally that told you, now this is where you rejected that and that triggered? Because you said your health journey started off, but then transitioned into like a spiritual journey, because then you started to move intentionally. So I'm just curious whether if it started off like that, or if your spirit told you, no, sis, look deeper. This is not the truth.
So it became spiritual, honestly, after the food came in, though.
Gotcha.
Because the more I started to cleanse, the more receptive I started to be with alternative information. And then not only that, the more in tune I just felt with myself. Like I was way more emotional. Like I had heightened emotions. I was crying all the time. I was having these epiphanies. I was starting to drop people from my life if I just felt like they were no longer in alignment with it, if they weren't making it better, or or if they were judging me, if they weren't in agreement with what I was doing. It was just so much easier for me to be like, listen, you don't have to understand it. Like, I barely understand it. But what I know is that I've seen people go through something similar and they said, this is what helps and this is what worked. And I'm going to give it a try. So, like, what started off as a health journey became spiritual because, number one, we're already okay, right? Let me say this. It was already spiritual because I'm spirit to begin with. And we identify as our human vessels, but our human vessels is just like a vehicle for how we experience this human experience. But it's not who we are. It's just how we express and how we get to experience who we are. We are spirit,
spirits in a physical body on a soul with a soul, right? We have a soul mission, right? But you're right. This is why I asked you that. Like, was it that inner nudge? Because remember, at this point, you're sort of disconnected from spirit, right? You're sort of
So I started cleaning my body out and started getting more connected with spirit.
Right. Yeah.
So the more you clean, the more you actually get to tap into who you really are. Because otherwise, it's almost like a blocker inside of you because of the blockages that's inside of you.
Yes.
So I was becoming more of who I actually am through the cleansing process, only because I was really just eating enough fibrous food. They say as above, so below, as within, so without. So because I'm putting high water, high fiber, biophoton, this high vibrational, this Kirlian.
All right, break it down in layman's terms. What were you eating? What did you
like really, I was just focusing on fruit. So I was eating high water fruit. So I'm eating the high water, the water rich, fiber rich. It was cleaning my gut. So it was getting the trash outside of me, cleansing me on a gut level and then on a cellular level. And then I'm just feeling more in tune with myself. And then I'm just realizing like, I was like never really that lower vibrational version of myself. I was just using the, I guess, tools of the matrix in a sense to suppress a lot of the emotions that I was experiencing because they give us a lot of that. They give us a lot of things to suppress us, to make us run away from our feelings. But you can't heal anything that you're feeling.
That you're not feeling.
Exactly. You can't heal anything that you're not feeling. There we go.
Yeah.
Like you say, you gotta, if you want to heal it, you have to feel it. A lot of times we're trying so hard to not feel it. We do it through food. We do it through drinking. We do it through smoking. We do it through all these different
lifestyle choices that really align with the spirit.
Yeah. So like my lifestyle choices just by cleaning my body just made me clearer and made me realize, okay, this is who I really am. I am emotional. And then it's like you're purging physically, but also emotionally. Because everything that you consumed while you were going through it through an emotion is almost like what you're going to start craving. So because you're craving it and you're not allowing yourself to have it, because your spirit is making the choices, not your body, not your lower self, not like the parasites and the lower demons, the hell inside of you, you're operating on a heaven level through that higher self. You get emotional because you're crying. That's withdrawal. You're withdrawing, but you're also healing yourself because you're feeling it at the same time. And once you like release that, you don't ever really desire it again because you've allowed that craving to get out of your system. Whatever that was passing through you was like that hot dog that you ate because you was dealing with a breakup.
Right.
And once it's out, it's out. It's gone. It went through you. You know, they say the only way out is through. We don't like to go through it. We just like to suppress it. We like to keep it inside of us. So, like, that's what I was doing for a long time.
So when you started your healing journey through fruits, and it allowed you to have this healing, obviously a profound healing experience where you now are able to sort of tap in with your higher self. You're able to allow emotions to flow. You're allowing yourself to release through tears and withdrawals. And really, what does that feel like? How could you describe in terms of who the old Lashay persona Lashay was in terms of tapping into your higher self and your spirit self?
It's almost like, number one, it's scary because you're being a version of yourself you've never been before. And me, like, I don't know if people believe in like zodiac or whatever, but I'm a Taurus. Like, I'm a fixed personality. I'm an earth sign. I don't like change. Even if what I'm changing is not even good for me and it doesn't serve me, it's still the comfort zone. Like, it's still who I've always been. My nervous system is okay with it, even though it's really not either at the same time. Like, but like, it's just like the familiar. So it's really allowing myself to be accepting of the fact that it's time to evolve. And it's an evolution process, but it's an acceptance of an evolution process because a lot of times there was a ton of self-sabotage, of going back to old behavior because it was familiar or because it was a habit or because it was a program. But being conscious of the fact that it's a program would allow me to give myself grace. Like, yeah, this is a transition. Like, you don't have to be perfect. It's almost like allowing yourself to be human and realizing that there's levels.
Right. Absolutely. But something you said was really interesting. You said a lot of self-sabotage. Do you think the self-sabotage came in because of your fear of evolution, of like, who am I? Like, you know, how we identify with this false persona of who we've been showing up as. And now, like you said, you're stepping into new territory. Were you afraid to see or to get to know who am I really when I'm not?
I think my biggest fear is success because I know that I've always had it inside of me to almost be excellent. Like, I always known that the potential in me, I'm tired of being potential though. I want to be that highest version of myself. And then I'll have like these moments where I'll have like almost like I will be intoxicated with the idea of my highest self. And then I'll be my highest self in practice for like a month or two. But as soon as I start to realize that true potential, like I'm really starting to see the fruits of that because of the energy and because of the consistency and because God's like, okay, I'm about to reward you because you've really been doing that. It's something scary about the responsibility that comes with that. And I end up like doing the extreme of something that I was doing at the highest level. It's almost like, okay, I don't think I'm ready. It's just like this self-sabotage thing. And it's just like, I still feel like I'm chasing that, like, or not necessarily chasing, but like getting to that point and finally being like, no, let's see what happens. And then just like releasing the fear.
Speaking of responsibility, your health journey was personal. And then you shifted into the limelight where then you became sort of a health influencer, right? Can you talk a little bit about how that went from just being your personal health, spiritual journey to then putting you in the limelight and now suddenly being responsible for the journey of all your viewers?
So the being in the limelight was completely accidental until it became intentional because I felt like I might as well ride the wave of it. But even when I was doing that, I was starting to question my intentions. Like, do you want to do this for yourself? Do you want to do it to help people? Or do you want to do it because you hate your job and you just want to start making money doing something that I guess you already do anyways? Like, because
Right.
I even questioned my level of passion for
Mm.
this because I didn't do it necessarily to help people. It's not that I didn't it wasn't that I didn't not want to help people. It was just that I didn't get into it intentionally for that. It wasn't like I was sharing my journey to help people. I was sharing my journey almost to keep myself accountable. You know,
Right.
like just like let me just post this stuff every day because it'll maybe like the attention that it attracts will probably keep me on track because I'm going to be accountable to others. They're going to be seeing me. I'm going to be checking in, and like maybe it will inspire people. Like the inspiration was a bonus. It wasn't my intention. It wasn't something I was doing from the goodness of my heart, and that doesn't make me a bad person. It was just that a lot of times you have to focus on helping yourself and changing yourself to help others. Like it's really
Absolutely.
you always have to put yourself first. It's selfish to put yourself first. You're gonna by default inspire people to start doing better for themselves because they're just gonna be inspired how you do better for yourself because of how you started off or where you came from. And they're going to be like, well, I kind of started off that way too. I came from there. It's like, and if she can do it, why
Right. Start
not?
resonating with your story and
Exactly.
your journey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a resonation. It's a frequency. It's a magnetism. So like whoever is meant to get that message will. That's not how I started off. So I ended up getting asked to do an interview by Jillian Berry, and Jillian Berry has a really big platform. So when I went on her platform, it started to attract a lot of people, and then I was like naturally attracting my own people too, just by sharing my journey on my platform. And I was really grateful for that, but that came with a lot of pressure
Mm.
because I was not perfect behind the scenes. It's not like I was like, oh, out here. Like, yeah, I would do challenges. I would
Mhm.
challenge myself to eat watermelon for 30 days. I would challenge myself to be all fruit for 30 days. I would challenge and I would share the challenges. And I would be successful at many of those challenges. But there was this like thing where everybody just assumed like I'm a fruitarian. Like I'm like this is what I do. No, you didn't see the relapses in the
Right.
background. So um I was always transparent about those at the same time though. I never hid anything. I think that's why a lot of people like me because I was always transparent about like, yeah, I did good. I did like 21 days of my 30-day challenge, but I'm proud of myself because if I didn't challenge myself, I wouldn't have done 21 days out of 30. And I would always twist it with that narrative and it would inspire people to not feel like they have to be perfect.
And be so hard on discredit.
Exactly. And I think that was the allure of me that I wasn't out here like acting like the perfect fruitarian that was outside on a beach all the time with a pineapple in one hand and a papaya in the next and a bikini with palm trees behind me with these long dissertations about the transformation of the spirit and the light and God and this
What are we doing here?
the fakeness. Like, I'm sorry, but there's just so much fake ish in this community. And I just was like the anti thesis of the fake stuff that like the love and the light. A lot of that people like to come off in this community is so fake. And that's not me trying to like talk about people or disparage people. It's an observation based
Right.
on being in the community long enough to see that people are just not who they try to proclaim themselves to be. And I never wanted to come across as that.
Right. But another thing that's rather prevalent in the community is a lot of judgment. right? And I just got to be real with you, sis. A lot of a lot of what you just did came off really like judgmental, but I get where you're going, right? You're extra animated because you're displaying your disgust for the fakeness, right? Like if you're going to
Mhm.
show up and you're going to show up in a capacity to influence and help others, then do it from a space of authenticity, right? But now, with that being said, like I said, there's a lot of judgment in the community. A lot of people feel like because they're living a fruitarian lifestyle, that makes them somehow superior.
Girl,
And I,
I used to be like that. I
yeah,
had to check myself. Like, for real. I would go back and look at some of my posts and how I'll go on these long dissertations about how if people only did this and that, then they would this and then they would that. And I'd go on these rants. But it's like, you're literally talking about stuff that you used to do.
yeah,
Like, you're no better than these people that just because you finally advanced to this place in your life, it's not like you organically got there because you were just so spiritual. You were a sage. You had wisdom, and you just made a decision. Like, no, it was because if I didn't change, I was gonna die. Like, you know. And I guess like a lot of what my rants and stuff, when I would be mad judgmental, it was almost like what they call that, projection. Because
yes,
I remember being at a place where I was literally about to die, and I'm seeing people that I personally love facing death with cancer, with these different diagnoses, and their reliance is just on conventional medicine, getting medications, getting surgery, getting organs taken out of them, getting chemotherapy, radiation, like all this stuff. So there would be an anger inside of me that made me extremely judgmental.
mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if I wasn't exposed to the information that I was exposed to, I would be making the same decisions as them. And then we're also programmed to have more belief, more faith, more trust in the conventional allopathic medicine route.
Right.
So I honestly like started to be like a lot of people started to distance themselves from me, not in the health community, but in my personal life. And I would just be like, oh yeah, they're just haters and this and that. They weren't haters. Like, girl, you were a piece of ish. Like, you were judgmental. Like, you're not better than anybody. Like, you don't have the authority. And it got to a point where like I didn't even really want to be around people like friends or family or this and that because like I'm just like, oh yeah, well they eat meat, they do this and they do that. And it's like you used to tear down a steak. Like, can we not? You know,
Right.
it's just like we
So
need
how do you shift from this judgmental mentality to maybe one of, what would you call it, more compassionate, understanding, empathy?
um it wasn't even like compassion, understanding, or empathy. It was just realizing that judgment judgment is like probably the most low vibrational action that you can partake in. Nobody is in a position to judge anyone, period. No one is better
Yes.
than anybody, period. They always say only God can judge me. I'm of the belief that we are all manifestations of God
Yeah.
experiencing itself through our individual experiences in our lives, right? So only you can judge yourself. Don't project. When you judge others for things, you're just projecting the stuff that you judge about yourself onto somebody else. Because at the end of the day, like if you believe in the law of oneness, we are each other.
Right. We're all reflections of one another. Yes.
Exactly. So when you're judging another person, there's just the part of them that you're judging is the part of yourself that you didn't like or don't like, and that you're just kind of like bouncing that off onto that person. So you don't like the version of yourself that ate bad
But that
food.
person is reflecting back to you. And so now you judge them because you reject that part of yourself, right?
Exactly. So like when I came to that conclusion, it's just like, who are you to be talked like, oh, they eat animals. Like eating animals is this and that, or I don't
But
know,
let's talk
anything.
about Just
drinking alcohol is this and that, or like anything that we judge people for. We just who people are at their own level of growth, like they're at their own level of evolution, and they're gonna evolve beyond that when it's their time. And
right.
like we can't judge people based on their timeline, you know. We're all gonna
That's,
evolve.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, how about just respecting somebody else's journey, right? Because
Exactly.
you've been called to this pathway, right? Or you've been called to heal or to just elevate, evolve, right? And maybe this other individual. How about there are some people who may never be called to evolve, right? Just having a level of respect for what that person's journey is meant to be for them, and that not everyone is gonna follow the same suit, and that's not even realistic or logical, right? Like we've all got to go. Like we're not sheep being herded into to anywhere, right? Just respect one another. You know, like I want to eat meat. I want to eat. I want to be a pescatarian. I want to be a vegetarian. I want to be a fruitarian. I want to be vegan. I want to be raw vegan. I just want to be something like I like that you said, a flexitarian. What's a flexitarian, sis?
A flexitarian, to my understanding, is a person who makes the best choices that they can, but they do it with flexibility. You know, like
Locked in to
they're
any.
not locked into any one doctrine or dogma or belief system. You know, like even people who act like they're making decisions based on a high moral ground,
Yes.
like, okay, that's your opinion. Like that's your perspective of that, but it doesn't make it a high moral ground, because I know people who eat meat, who are actually pillars of their community, who are philanthropists, who have helped way more people quantitatively, like have just donated more, given more, improved the quality of lifestyle, like have given more blessings to just regular people in general, or even to animals from the kindness of their heart, because they didn't have an intention of doing harm when they ate a meal. It wasn't their intention. And I think intention is like the most important thing. And I'm not trying to justify anything. All I'm saying is that no one is in a position to judge anyone for a choice that they make. Like, there's just really good people in the world and in history that has had a lot of beautiful things happen in our world because of their contribution, despite what choices they made, what like they decided to eat at the time. Some people eat things for survival purposes, like it's intention. And not to mention raw veganism, fruitarianism, that's not the only way to heal your body. Like it's a healing modality. But there are people out here who never heard of raw veganism or fruitarianism, who have healed atherosclerosis, diabetes, all these different health issues that conventional medical say that you can't heal. They did just doing like a plant-based lifestyle. Maybe they got rid of eating meat or whatever and dairy, and they just did whole food, plant-based cooked food. But
Right.
let a raw vegan tell it, oh, that's gonna give you cancer. That's gonna this, that. But like belief is important. Like if you believe what you're eating is gonna give you cancer and it's gonna dehydrate you and it's gonna do that for you. But there are people, based on the book that I read from Dr. Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural, people were healing their bodies no matter what they ate, just because of meditation and like getting into the visualization of healing certain parts of their bodies, doing energy work. Like we are our spirits before we are our physical vessels. And that's why I got into what I was saying initially with my journey. Like when it came to like me healing my womb, I had to heal a lot of emotional stuff because I was doing all the right things, eating fruit, eating raw vegetables and doing all this stuff, but I was really struggling emotionally still. My nervous system was still out of whack. My endocrine system, which is like a huge contributor to the hormone balance and production and all of that in the body. So it doesn't matter what you're eating if your emotions are out of balance. You know, it's like
What kind of emotional work did you do? How'd you get that balance? In addition to just fueling your body, with the proper nutrients, right? How'd you get to the other side and get the
I
amazing feeling?
stopped judging my actions.
Mm.
Because like I would like try to be perfect with the lifestyle, and then I would go and have a meal at Chipotle, and then I would be like, what is wrong with you? Why did you just eat something that's not good for your body? This has chemicals inside of it. This is going to happen inside of you. This I was killing my freaking body with my brain, with my
Mhm.
emotions, and throwing them out of whack. So once I stopped judging myself and just said I ate it because I wanted to, like, and then
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to judge myself for it, but I'm not gonna habitualize that choice. I'm just
Right.
gonna go back to doing what's good for me. But
Yes.
every so
Balance. A
often,
little bit of balance. But here's what's
it's
ironic.
really not even balance, it's harmony.
I
Being
like that.
in
You're right.
harmony with your choices. Because when you start having internal battles every time you make a decision, you're harming yourself on the inside. You're playing like you're really creating imbalance with your spirit. We have to realize we're our spirits before our bodies. We put way too much stock into the body, and we don't put as much energy into having a harmonious spirit.
How do you
So
get a harmonious spirit?
stop judging yourself. Start realizing that life is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Life is, we're gonna evolve regardless. We already live in all of eternity. We
Mm.
think that eternity starts because of death, but that's just a program that's fed to us that is literally deliberately created to create disharmony inside of us by the powers that be, because they feed off of our disharmony. They feed
Yeah.
off of our fear. They're vampires. So once you understand that, you become a rebel to the agenda of fear, of disharmony, of this and that. You just start to learn to live in your truth, you know? So just learn how to realize that there are forces outside of you you have no control over, who have this agenda for you to be out of balance, to like create disharmony
Mm-hmm.
inside of you. But you are the creator and the manifester of your life. You're the director of your life. You are the spirit. The body, we're temporarily here. Like we're just here to have this experience. But once we release up out of these bodies, we have an ever evolving
The
spirit that's
body is the body has an expiration date, but like you said,
not the spirit.
the spirit is infinite, right? But I think what's ironic here, right, is that it's the same facet that is either going to make or break you, which is your belief and your thought process, right? So you can either sit there and judge yourself and criticize and critique and be in this inner turmoil, or you can sit in peace, enjoy the journey, allow for grace, right? Tap and connect into your higher self through your belief system and your thought process and actually elevate, right? But the choice is
Yes.
yours. And you, whether you're conscious or unconscious, you are always manifesting, right?
Yes.
So do it from a space of consciousness, right? Choose to enjoy the journey. Choose to embrace your own journey, even if that's going against the grain, right? Choose to be the anomaly, but choose yourself most importantly, right? Which is it's your journey. Let it be that, and enjoy it all along the way without judgment, but with grace, love, and compassion. Be
Amen.
compassionate to yourself. You got to be your best friend. You're the one person that's always going to be riding with you to the from the beginning to the end, right?
Wait, going cheers to that. You got to be your best friend.
Yes, salute, sis. So a lot of things shifted for you through your journey, right? You went from, just wanting to heal, wanting to get better, to thinking you had to do it in a perfect sort of kind of way, to understanding and allowing yourself grace and just learning. You learned a lot of lessons throughout the way. Can you tell us just a couple of like the most profound lessons for you that really took your journey, not just your healing, but your life journey to the next level for you?
I'm going to have to repeat something I already said. When I learned to stop judging myself, like I'm telling you, people don't realize how
It
much
is a big one.
self
It is a big one.
judgment will have you repeating the same cycles and loop over and over and over again, because you manifest what you think about the most. So when you're judging yourself, you're attaching yourself to a behavior, even though you're not the behavior. But we start to define ourselves based on something we did. So, like, you're not what you did. You're
Yeah.
not a past or previous action. You're not what you just ate. Like, stop defining yourself. And once I stopped, like, being like, oh my god, I'm doing so good. I was on fruit for 2 weeks, and then I had this Beyond Burger. It's like we discount the fact that we had enough spirit in us to make a high spirited choice to really cleanse and to eat high vibrational, hydrating um, food from the earth with the biophotons. Like, we discount all the good that we've done to ourselves, and we define ourselves on that one time where we kind of broke the cycle. But that was one time of a choice that we have made our entire lives prior to that. And so, like, for me, my evolution, my change came from my lesson came from non-judgment. So even to this day, if I decide to do something that's out of alignment of values that I've set for myself, it's literally just being like, I'm enjoying this moment of my human experience. I'm not judging it. Like, I'm just chilling right now. I ate this bag of chips because they were delicious and they were good. And I'm glad that I ate them. It is what it is. But I know some things. So it'll be the last thing that I eat for the day. I'm going to allow it to process. I'm going to allow it to digest. When I get up in the morning, I'm probably not even going to eat anything because I don't really like to eat in the morning. But I'm going to have some fruit when I break my fast. You know, like, it's just like really allowing yourself to be perfectly imperfect versus being this like perfect version of yourself and then judging yourself when you do something that has literally been in alignment with the program that has been installed in you for the entirety of your whole entire existence in this lifetime. So we just have to be realistic about things, and we have to be natural about the choice. We have to be natural about um our transition in life, just like the journey. We have to realize that, like, this is only 1 year out of our entire life. This is only 1 month out of our entire life. And we spent like the first 20 years, 30 years of our life making this choice. That choice is caught up to us. So now we're learning new things. We're rewriting the program. And then it's just like the assimilation of the journey. And it's just like, okay, I can literally extend my lifetime by just like doing challenges, by learning this stuff, but it's not just food, it's mindset. And the huge part of mindset is to not judge yourself. Because once you get into the trap of self-judgment, forget about it. People kill themselves. People literally unalive themselves and suicide themselves because they judge themselves, because
Yeah.
they think they're the worst person in the world. Like, be mindful of your thoughts,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because they give you life or they can give you the extreme opposite of that. Just realize that, stop taking life so freaking seriously.
So if you're doing challenges, you're tapping into some type of community.
Yes and no. I needed them in the beginning. I don't anymore.
Right, in the beginning. So it's helpful to tap into community.
Absolutely. In the beginning, you have to tap into community, in my opinion. It's going to keep you going. You're going to have inspiration. You're going to feed off of those who probably even started off worse than you. You're going to be like, oh my God, like, I love their journey. Like, because of them, I know I can do it now. It just helps.
Right.
And also, like, you just feed off the energy of others. I do think community is important.
It serves this purpose. And I like that you said that, like in the beginning. So in the beginning, you tapped into community, you tapped into challenges. You called yourself higher, you allowed yourself grace and to pivot. And so something that I know you're really good at is tuning into your needs, right? And so you will disconnect for your own greater good, right? What does disconnecting do for you? And do you miss the social media? No, right?
I don't miss social media. I what disconnecting does for me is almost, so I disconnected from social media because personally, I have a hard time multitasking. Like when it comes to like, I feel like when I'm in the health community, it's it can almost be so dogmatic. It can almost be almost religion in a
Mhm.
sense. Like raw veganism is a religion. Fruitarianism is a religion, and I'm and like I agree with a lot of what's being said. Not because I agree, but because like okay, if we're talking biologically and scientifically, what's least obstructive to the body is what's designed to go inside of it. We're natural human beings. We're natural people. We're natural biological vessels. We're supposed to eat things that come from the earth, from nature. It just matches. It's harmony, right?
Right.
Harmonious. However, I've also learned that we're adaptive
Mm.
and we've evolved and we've still managed to be able to breed and create generation after generation after generation, even despite the uh what's the word I'm looking for? Even despite like the I don't want to say what is the word? Like I feel like the words in my brain are just almost like too insulting. Like deteriorated state or something, like devolved, as far as just like human potential goes.
Yeah.
With that being said, the same way we can tear ourselves down, we can start to regenerate. We can start to repair generationally. Like and it was
Mhm.
whatever. But with that being said, I feel like that a lot of the number one, it's not easy to just go cold turkey and to be perfect. But there's a lot of
There
people.
is no perfection. That is an illusion, and it's a complete setup for failure. Because if
Yeah,
you're striving for perfection, you're never gonna hit that mark, and all you're gonna do is rob yourself of all the hard work you've done and all the joy you can experience because you're striving for something that literally does not exist. You
right.
can never be perfect, ever.
I agree. So I feel like for me, fruitarianism and like raw veganism, even though it's something I practice to a degree, like I'm always gonna have my raw salads, I'm always gonna have my mono fruit meals, I'm always gonna have my juices, I'm always gonna have my smoothies. It's not what I do exclusively, and it's not what I want to do exclusively.
Right.
Um, I like having my cooked meals. I love having my whole food plant-based meals. Sometimes I eat a bag of chips. Like and I'm not in my head about it. You know
Right.
what I mean? I
Right.
feel like when I'm online in the community, I'm in my head about it because it's this constant barrage of how bad something is for you, which is, if not equally, almost worse
Yeah.
for the nervous system, for the spirit than anything. Because, like, just because I eat a bag of chips doesn't mean I'm eating Doritos. It doesn't mean I'm eating something with artificial colors. Maybe it's like, some potatoes with, I don't know, avocado oil or whatever, like whatever it is. But when you're constantly barraging yourself while we're in this imperfect world and we're doing our best, and like I've done a lot of healing, I've done plenty of challenges. I've allowed my body the time to regenerate. Like I'm feeling good. I'm doing
See,
good.
I think that's an important thing to note, right? Like you're at a point where you can make allowances for these things, right? But I think it's also important for people to understand like you can still heal while making healthy allowances, right? So may not if you're in your healing journey and you're in the detoxification process, don't eat the bag of chips. But if you want to have a healthy cooked meal, allow yourself that and then
Yeah.
go right back into it, right? And yeah, is
And
it
don't judge yourself for it while you eat it.
right? Is it going to slow down your detox? Yeah, it will, but it's not going to destroy your efforts. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
as detrimental as the community might make you feel for it. But like you said, enjoy it.
But I've
Get
seen
right back
posts
to
like,
it. Get
oh, if
right.
you eat rice is poison. Like I've seen this come from like really popular raw vegans, like saying that certain foods are poison. That's not good because certain people, it's still plant-based. It's still something that a lot of people are still consuming on their transition, and you have them believing they're consuming poison. So now they're eating a freaking bowl of rice, feeling like they're consuming fentanyl. And because they believe that, they're physically deteriorating while they're consuming it because their nervous system and their belief is like, I'm eating poison. I'm eating poison while they're eating poison. You know that that will manifest inside of your body. So like I try to remove myself from that because it's like number one, I have personal goals I need to reach right now. It's hard for me to multitask. Like because when I start thinking about I have to eat perfect or whatever, and I can't allow myself to eat cooked food because they say cooked food is carcinogenic and it creates acrylamides in the body.
That is dead
All
food.
this
Yeah.
crap. You know, like that doesn't do anything for me. It makes it hard for me to focus on other things in my life. It makes me feel like I have to put all of my energy on being this perfect biophoton eater when all I need to just focus on is just like making sure I'm not consuming processed junk. So like I remove myself, like I'm just like I'm done with religion. I'm done with of dogma. Like I'm just done with the extremes of any lifestyle choice. Like, and it's just like I'll have my cycles. I'm still doing 30-day fruit feasts because it's a cleanse. Like I
Right.
know these things. I'm gonna still do a 1 or 2 day water fast because I know my body just needs the time to just rest and repair and regenerate. I'm gonna still these are modalities that I've learned to be able to like preserve myself, but I don't believe I have to 100% be anything. If somebody wants to be that and that's just where their spirit is and what they're in alignment of, I respect it. I don't judge them for it. But I don't like how a lot of people in the community judge people for not being there, even though they're not even practicing it themselves. And that's why I say there's not a fake. And it's not me, it's not me intentionally being judgmental of anybody. It's just me knowing a lot of people in this community and really keeping game
Yeah.
and realizing that you're pushing out a really dangerous message that you're not even living in alignment with.
Right. People got to learn how to see past the smoke and mirrors, past the perception, right? And just be able to discern the truth and what's true for them, what aligns with them, right? What resonates with them. Like there's a lot of people, like you mentioned, healing modalities such as like water fasting, doing fruit cleanses. Juicing is a really healing modality that gets frowned upon in a lot of heat, but it's another form of healing, and it fits where it fits, right? So it don't mean that you have to be a liquiditarian. I've heard that term tossed out there before, but if you're in a detoxifying process of your journey, then juicing might be beneficial for you, and so then you juice because it's what's beneficial for you, even if it's not the popular choice in the community. People just really need to stand on their ground and not need permission to live and enjoy their life, right? It's just what I'm hearing from you is respect your journey, find harmony, keep cleansing, give yourself grace, release the self judgment, and enjoy your human experience while tapping into your spirit self.
Yes. It's that simple. We make our lives so much harder. It's not even like other people. It's like we put pressure on ourselves because we care so much about what other people think about us. When in reality, it doesn't matter what people think about you. It's what you think about yourself that's causing you the most strife.
Yes.
It's not what other people think about you. You're projecting what you believe others are going to think about you or what they think about you.
You're
But that's really
projecting your
not what
own
it is.
beliefs. You're
It's your
projecting
own
your
belief.
beliefs. Yeah.
Stressing yourself about. Why are you stressing yourself out about the shit that's going on in your brain? I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss, but like we gotta cut it out. Like we be making our own self stressed out. It's not other people. Even when you think other people are stressing you out, it's because you're allowing them to. You
Yes.
at any point in time can just be like, you know what? I'm good.
You hit it on the nose. Like no one can affect you without your permission. No one can do anything, hurt you, or no one has any power or authority over you unless you give it to them, unless you allow them. And truth, the true manifester, the true authoritative person in your life is yourself. And what you said, what matters is how you view yourself and then how you project that out into the world, right? So it's again, it's really a journey of self-mastery, a journey of self-love, of really connecting and remembering who you are and tapping into your higher self, right? We forget that along the way. Like we forget who we are because we get caught up in the humanness of the experience. But like you said, it's not, you're not a human, you're not your thoughts, you're not your body, you're a spirit, right? And so you got to really remember to tap in with your spirit. And like you said in the beginning, you were really disconnected and you created all these womb issues for yourself because of like certain relationship you have. But now that you've done a lot of healing, how are your relationships now? Your personal relationships? Are you always dating? Are you on the scene? Are you committed? Are they healthier? What's that look like for you now?
So for me, like my most important relationship is always going to be with myself. And I'm always going to base a decision on whether or not I'm going to be with a person on whether or not they're willing to treat me as good as I treat myself
Talk
at
about
the end of the day.
it.
So I'm not thirsty to be in a relationship with anyone. Even if I am entertaining a person, I'm quick to tell them, listen, I'm gonna stop talking to you today. Like I don't and it's not
Are
even
you entertaining a person?
maybe, I know private, but
I respect it.
I'm open to relationships now because like for the longest time I wasn't because I was so much more focused on repairing the relationship I have with myself. When I say have with myself, like the choices I would make for myself wouldn't be the best choices for myself. So it's like if you don't love yourself, like for real, and which is like a reflection of or indicative of how you're literally making choices. Like, are you consciously being self-destructive every time something good happens for you?
Mm-hmm.
You're not ready for another person to be in your life because you're going to start seeking acceptance from them.
Right.
Because you don't accept yourself. So you need that validation to come from outside of yourself in order to feel secure, even though it's an insecure attachment, because you don't have the security within. So I'm feeling that secure attachment now because no matter of what, because I don't judge my choices anymore. I don't judge.
I love that for you.
Something I do for myself is good or bad. It's just if I wanted to do it, if I don't want to do it. I can scale the consequences of a choice and still have self-respect. So now that I've gotten to that place, I can entertain men. I can allow myself to be open to somebody, but my openness is always going to be contingent upon how they're treating me. Because if you think you can disrespect me, if you think that you can practice your unhealed wounds that you're experiencing within, if you think you can project those onto me so you can feel better about yourself, if you feel insecure in my presence because I'm doing good because I'm accomplishing things and it makes you feel away because you're not, or what, like I just nip it in the bud. Like I'm like, I will turn a red flag into an invisible flag in a heartbeat. Like that's just who I am at this point. So
now that you've done a lot of inner healing, physical healing, do you feel like you're also attracting a different caliber of men, like quality in men,
low vibrational men that think they can. I think I intimidate a lot of those type of men. It's almost like I'm a repellent of those type of men because like once you start treating yourself in a certain way, you present yourself in that certain way, and you're not afraid to be who you are. You're unapologetic about that. You intimidate a certain quality of men. You almost become a repellent. Like, so I do believe that I am attracting high quality men, and I'm grateful for that. I really am.
Can I ask you, right now that you've released some of these beliefs or these ideologies that I've got to present myself a certain way, I've got to heal in a particular kind of way, right? You've become, or you've adapted more of a flexitarian mentality. do you still consider yourself high vibrational?
Absolutely. I don't think that what I eat defines me.
Thank you. Yes.
I think that who I am while I do anything in life defines me. So people will say, "Oh, who are you?" And someone will be like, "Oh, I am an attorney. I am this." They'll start describing themselves based on what they do for work or whatever. Who are you while you're an attorney? Are
Mm-hmm.
you a shady attorney? Or are you representing people who actually deserve justice? Like, that's how, like, my analogy of that is. Like, are you a person who just chases money no matter the cost, like at the expense of your own spirit, knowing that something is not right, something doesn't feel good about the decision you're making or who you are defending? But you're gonna do it anyways because they're a multimillionaire and it's gonna benefit you. Like, who are you when you do anything in life?
Right. Right.
So no matter like what I'm consuming, no matter where I'm at, no matter like it's about who you are when you're doing it. Like, are you the type of person to advocate for others? Are you gonna call out BS when you see it? Are you going to just like be like, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but that just doesn't make sense to me. And this is why. Like, you always just have to be a righteous person, no matter the experience that you're having. And I don't believe that even a person, if they don't have a negative intention behind a decision they're making, if it's just not in their spirit that they're doing something wrong, you can't place that on them because that's your beliefs.
Right. Right.
Come from where you came from. They didn't experience what you experienced. They didn't see what you saw. They didn't have that feeling, that emotion that developed this ideology that you now have or live for. So you gotta stop making blanket decisions on how a person is or assuming anything about somebody, not knowing who they are, where they come from, what their origin stories are. A lot of times, there's people who are self-righteous in the vegan community about eating animals, but they actually treat their bodies worse than people who eat animals. Like,
Mm.
there could be people who are not vegans or vegetarians, but they eat fish or eat lean meats or whatever the case is, but they go to the gym once or twice a day and they drink a ton of water. They don't consume alcohol. They don't smoke. They pray. They go to church. They're in their community. They're philanthropists. They help out their friends and their family. They employ people. They're good people.
Right. We're not defined just simply by what we consume. Absolutely.
Exactly. But then you have a person who will sit there and eat Beyond Burgers and French fries and all these carbs, and they go online and judge people all day, every day about a choice that they're making, and they're really not contributing much else to society outside of that, besides overly consuming a bunch of stuff that their body's really not even meant to consume regardless. And they're unhealthy.
It's a vice versa kind of thing as well. There are those that they may not be sitting online, watching other people. They may be online just criticizing other people, right?
Yeah. So that's my thing. Like, we got to stop acting like we're better than others based on an ideology that you developed based on something. Like, we just have to stop, and it doesn't, that's my thing. Like, we just
Absolutely.
have to stop.
So I know you say your journey started in 2019, but about a couple of years ago, you started a podcast called Better.ism. Talk a little bit about what Better.ism is. What's the inspiration behind that? What's the vision there?
Better.ism, the Better.ism podcast is about making better choices. And that sprang from my journey from having serious health issues and getting into and discovering this community, which I am extremely grateful for, because it allowed me the space to learn a lot about myself and my resiliency and what I'm capable of, healing myself by allowing my body to heal myself. Like, I didn't heal me, my body healed me because I stopped obstructing it for extended periods of time, which allowed it to regenerate. And so I'm grateful for that. but I struggled a lot in between. It wasn't a perfect journey, like at all by any stretch. I went through cycles of perfectionism, and then I went through cycles of imperfectionism, and it was a yo-yo dieting like journey, and it still is. If I'm gonna keep it a buck, so but I've been doing it for so much for long enough that I didn't have to be perfect because my body continuously to gets better and better and better and heals, and it's about being better. And then I learned that when I would crash out mentally by judging myself because I wasn't perfect and I didn't keep the perfect streak with the lifestyle choice that I decided I was going to make or whatever, I started to evolve, like spiritually, mentally, ideologically, that it's not about doing one thing 100% to be perfect, because I was starting to notice that despite that, I was still feeling a lot of advancement in my body. I wasn't suffering from certain conditions or symptoms anymore. And that was still despite me caving in and having potato chips or having tacos or, like whatever it was that I was eating wasn't like as good for me as I realized that it's about the journey,
Right.
not about a flighting decision that you made along the journey, because it's just like one thing and then you go back and you learn from it. But I learned the most. I learned to stop judging myself and start to realize that we live in all of eternity and our spirits literally have an entire eternity. I don't even want to say lifetime, an entire eternity to get right. Energy doesn't die. It can't be destroyed. So even if it doesn't work out in this lifetime, it's gonna work out. So
Right. Just put in that work so that the next time you circle back, you start off at a better position.
exactly. So it's about strengthening the spirit and stop focusing so much on the body, because when we focus on the body, we listen to it too much. But when we start to sharpen our spirit, we start making decisions from the spirit.
Your body holds the score, right? So your body is where your trauma is stored. Your body is where, it is keeping track of things, but your spirit is where it holds. Your spirit is what holds the truth, right?
Yeah, it's where
So you gotta be in alignment. It's not a either or kind of thing, right? It's you gotta be in alignment with all of them. So your body is your temple. So treat your temple and fuel it with the necessary foods, right? So something that's true across all forms of modality is eat as natural as possible. Eat real food. Eat real food. Eliminate. Remove as much processed crap. And even if you make those occasional allowances for processed food, you can still heal, you can still get better, and you can still thrive in this lifetime, right? So I'm just curious, do you have any like reading suggestions, any books that you would offer to the community for someone who's just looking to live a more holistic, healthier life?
I have lots of books, honestly. Um, I would say instead of tapping into book, journal.
Mm,
Like what's going on inside of you is
I love
really what you should be putting down and be paying the most attention to. Start studying yourself. Like, yeah, you can get
mastery. Yes,
inspiration from others, but you are literally the library of you and your ancestors, and everything that we need is already within.
I love that.
So, yeah, read books, read autobiographies of people that inspire you. Get real life counts and stuff. And there's all kinds of technical information that we can learn. And I would say just like read anything that's just in alignment with who you are. Like I can't give you a specific thing right now. I just feel like we need to focus more on writing than reading. Because what made me a good reader, well, actually what made me a good writer was becoming a reader. But at the same time, what made me a good writer, what made me a good reader was also writing. Like I'm a good writer. And I actually think I was a good writer before I was a reader. I don't know. I just think that was something I came into the world with. Like we come in with natural gifts. And I was like a naturally good writer, which made it easy for me to read. But it'd be like I'd read a thought and then I'd be like, oh, I could write about this. Like I have thoughts about it. So I could expound like through my own inspiration or whatever. But I mean, I have all kinds of books. The autobiography of Yogananda, like he's like a yogi, like that is like a really good read. I like a lot of spiritual books. The Journey of Souls talk about death, you know, the journey of our soul in between life transitions from like a death into a new lifetime. Like that's why I always talk about the spirit, because like that's who we really are. I mean, I've got the 80-10-10. This is the journal actually. The 80-10-10 diet. Like there's all kinds of stuff that you can read. Like I'm into a lot of things. Into stuff that I'm even studying and not even practicing. The Water of Life, that's about urine therapy. Like I learned, like I just therapy. Like I don't close myself off to anything.
I love that. Where are you going now, sis? Like what do you envision now? I know that you want to play your part in terms of lifting the vibration of the world. What does that mean or look like for you now?
Just being who I am, and I know I'm not perfect, and I know that I'm going to continue to make mistakes, and I know there's going to be highs and lows. But just really, I want to just make sure that I'm learning from everything that I experience, so that I'm not constantly going through cycles over and over, like genuinely evolving. As far as like where I see myself, like I have my platform, the Better.ism podcast. That's my contribution right now, because I do have personal things that I'm going through with life. I'm trying to get out of debt. I'm focusing on my finances, and I just need my focus to be into that, which is why I'm not really on social media right now. But you can catch me every Saturday. I have a new guest on my show on YouTube exclusively, Better.ism podcast. And it's about everything. It's not only just about diet. It's not only just about food. It's not exclusively based on fruitarianism or raw veganism. I have a person coming on in 2 weeks. She was a fruitarian and she was a raw vegan, and she went to Lauren Lockman's water retreat, Tanglewood, and she actually did that through Bobby's interview with Lauren Lockman, Bobby Smith, and came out, became a freaking carnivore afterward. I'm about to have a conversation with her. Like, I want to know
what happened there. I heard there's like an entire vegan movement that has like become carnivores again. You know, have like denounced.
I want to know what that is. Like, I'm not gonna be a carnivore. Like, that's not my style. But like, it's not what I want to do. But I am interested in having that conversation, because I don't judge people for their choices. Like, I want to know what led you to that, and like without judgment, like a really serious conversation. It's not my goal to judge her, because like there's a lot of people who wouldn't even speak to her. They'll denounce her, they'll unfriend her, they'll talk about her, and there'll be a group chat about her because of where she started and where she is now. Because that's how intolerant a lot of people who act like they're self-righteous and better than others are. But are you really better if you are judging? So like that's like, so me, I have a platform to talk about just being better in your own way. I don't think there's one. I feel like you have a destination, but there's so many ways to that destination, because we live in a world of possibilities.
Absolutely. So you brought up Bobby Smith. Who's Bobby Smith to you? How'd you guys meet?
Bobby Smith, I mean, I met him online on Facebook. I seen him being active in some fruitarian groups, and he was unique to me because he was just like this melanated man who had like this like really authentic like hood persona. He was who he was. He wasn't trying to be anybody besides who he was, but he was calling himself a fruitarian, and that was like extremely unique to me. I'm like, okay. So I definitely, he just had my attention. I think I would like comment under his posts and stuff on like a fruitarian group. I think he eventually sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I would see his content. I would watch his lives, and then he ended up asking me for an interview one day, and then I had an interview on his platform, and then we just ended up like hitting it off when we spoke personally before that interview. and just like almost became business partners. Like we started collaborating, created a group together, um,
Was
challenges, like all of that. So I was almost like I gave him I almost feel like I helped him see who he was. Like whatever I saw him as, I learned how to speak that life into him. And he is like, I mean, it's all him. He's the energy. He made himself who he is. But I feel like I was part of his origin story, at least.
Were you the muse behind the Bobby Smith? Did you inspire him to step into his light and really just claim his sovereignty and
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, fruit up was like something he used to say. I know he said he got it from Tom Avery, but I said, like, there's something about you saying that, and you got people hashtagging fruit up. I said, you need to make that like your brand.
right?
And then I said, you should probably create a logo. And the thing about Bobby is anything I suggested, he would just do right away. So
Yeah,
he reached out to his,
a
yeah,
master implementer for sure.
yeah, I call him the master implementer because he literally implements everything that is suggested to him or anything he's coached on. He's like the most coachable person you'll ever meet. And he reached out to his cousin who was like a graphic artist. He came up with this really simple fruit up logo, the one that we know today, that's literally on probably thousands of sweatshirts now and in people's homes. And
Definitely
it's
a movement.
like I was a part of that, So yeah, he's like a brother to me.
Are you still a part of the Fruit Up movement?
Of course, I should have probably worn my fruit up sweater, but yeah, I'm just doing it behind
Ever be. And this is exactly why I called you the OG original goddess of Fruit Up, because I mean, how could you not? Like, you literally help inspire the movement, right? You gave it life, and he took it. You planted the seed, and he gave it life, right? And look at the movement is become today. So he's literally helping thousands. Well, I don't know how many people. But he's impacting tons of people, right? Inspiring people every single day.
Definitely helping thousands of people. Like,
right.
Like, literally,
you're right, because there are thousands of people in his group. So shout out to Bobby Smith.
Yeah, like Yaki Awaken just went on a live and said that Bobby Smith inspired him and influenced him to get back on his health journey, and now he's all ripped. And like, this is Yaki Awaken. He does millions.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Bobby Smith, and his movement is just getting bigger and better. Tune in, tap in. Sis, I want to thank you for showing up tonight, spreading some love and wisdom, talking about your journey, and reminding people to, really tap into their spirit, let go of judgment, especially self-judgment, and walk in alignment with their truth in whatever way that should show up for them. Do you have any parting words before we go?
Just thank you for having me on your platform. I really appreciate you. I have a lot of respect for you. I remember where you started. Like, I think you were like in the fruit and herbs challenge from like my remembrance.
The fruit up till 5.
Yeah, fruit up till 5. And I just remember where you started, and I can't believe that you legitimately have like a dope platform now where you just have like these amazing people coming on, and I want to give you your flowers. Like, you are really good at what you do, and I highly encourage you to keep going because you're just natural at it. I don't even feel like you're trying. It's just like second nature. It's like who you are. You're very inquisitive, you listen, and it's just, so just I'm grateful to be like a part of your platform, because like how I feel like what we're doing right now, this stuff is going online. Whatever goes online never goes away. So we're literally history in the making. So like when we're not here 100 years from now, this video is going to be floating around, and we're going to be part of the evolution of the world, of how people are going to manage their emotions and how they're not going to judge themselves, and how they're going to learn to make better dietary choices, and how they're going to, so it's just like, no matter what, you're bringing different perspectives, different conversations, and you have your own unique spin to how you are introducing that. to your platform, but like it may seem like minimal views right now today, but as long as it still exists in the metaverse, it's going to become incrementally higher and higher and higher as long as you're consistent with your craft. So again, like that's really all I have to say. If anybody wants to follow me, I highly encourage you to go to YouTube. My name is Lashay Taylor, but go to Better.ism, Better, and there's like a little dot in between, and it's ISM. And that's my podcast. And I have Faith Finds Fruit coming up this Saturday. And
Beautiful.
I love Faith. I just love her spirit. She's so wise. She's so committed to the lifestyle choice that she's made. She's super inspiring. I'm not in alignment with it, like to her magnitude, but I respect it.
It's interesting you say Faith Find Fruit is your next guest, because I actually stumbled upon something she said today where she doesn't follow like-minded people but like-hearted people. And I thought that was such a beautiful message, right? Because like-minded people stand in judgment, but like-hearted people stand in unison and move through love. So shout out to Faith Finds Fruit. Tune into that one. That's going to be a really profound interview.
Yes, I can't wait to talk to her. So please go and follow my page. Will subscribe to it on YouTube if you want to tap into that conversation. It's only exclusively on YouTube. So yeah, it might actually, I want her to broadcast live on her Facebook channel as well. So, but yeah, that's all I got going on at this time. And then again, I have Sherry Oler a week after that, and she is the fruitarian turned carnivore. I have high respect for her too. I don't judge her choice.
That's definitely going to be interesting. And don't forget to subscribe to Chats with Chas on YouTube. Some key takeaways: release self-judgment, lean into the journey, allow yourself grace, journal, tap into your own true stories, align with your higher self and your ancestors, do the inner work. Reach out to me. I'm a certified shadow coach. I can help you do that, especially if you're detoxing and all those emotions are surfacing and you need an outlet and you don't know how to navigate that. Reach out. I can absolutely hold space for you and get you there. We want to leave you with lots of love and compassion, and just stand in your authenticity. Want to see you next time.
Good night, everybody. Love you all.
Night.